Go ahead.
Our public, I'm sorry, the presenter for the public hearing is not here yet, so I don't know if we can, I presume that we can move into into new business and pop back to the public hearing if we need to. I don't see why we can't do that. Our
So my
corporation
remarks
council.
about public hearings should hold off?
We can hold off until.
Okay, so
and-
I'll just do the first part and then you introduce the other.
Yeah, we can move straight into.
We can move straight into
to
the new
the
business.
new business, and
Yeah.
then we'll go
And-
back if that's all right
Okay,
with
when
everyone.
we have public.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I would assume to have a reset, yeah.
If we want
I
to
don't
wait
see
a
any-
minute or two, or if you,
I don't
think we're clear.
see why we don't start and
Yeah.
do everything else.
Come back.
And then, there she
there
is,
she is.
okay, all right.
oh, now the meeting can officially start.
Now we can start, all right.
Okay, Beth.
Somewhere.
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
Good morning. This is the Syracuse Landmark Preservation Board meeting of October 24th. Can everybody hear me? Present at the meeting are
Or Trish.
Kyle Gregory.
Nicole Fragnito.
Julia Marshall,
Jeff Romano.
Hillary Donahue.
Kate Auer.
Amber Dillon.
thank you.
You're sitting with the big kids.
Yeah, that's right.
May I have a motion to accept the minutes of October 2nd?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I second.
Any modifications to the minutes? All in favor?
Aye.
Minutes are adopted. Thank you. Okay, we have a public hearing. The board will now conduct the public hearing on today's agenda. First, the applicant or applicant's representative will be invited to describe the proposed scope of work and to present any material or documentation regarding the proposal to the board. Next, persons wishing to speak in favor of the proposal will be given the opportunity to address the board. Then persons who wish to speak in opposition will be allowed to address the board. Finally, the applicant or representative will be given the opportunity to make closing comments to the board. Following each public hearing, the board may vote to approve with conditions, or deny the application just heard. The board may also decide to hold its decision until the next public hearing. If the hearing is closed, no additional information will be allowed into the record except for information that the board may request. That information will be available for public review with board staff. Kate, do you want to introduce the first application?
The first public hearing, actually first and only public hearing, is CA-24-26. It's a certificate of appropriateness for 310 Montgomery Street, which is St. Paul's Church, and this involves the parish house and the insertion of a new window opening, or rather, I should say, the reinsertion or the of a window opening and the rear of the parish house. It is a local protected site, and the board's role is to approve with conditions, deny, or hold pending submission of additional information. And so, with that, welcome Beth Crawford.
Nope, I can do this. Hi, everyone. I'm Beth Crawford from Crawford & Stearns Architects, 134 Walton Street in Syracuse. We've been working on St. Paul's for a while now. There is actually work under construction. The board previously approved a large scope of work. This is the facade of the back of the parish house. This dates to 1929. This faces the parking lot, which is owned by St. Paul's. It is visible a little bit from the public right away on West Fayette Street, kind of at an oblique angle. Previously, the LPB and the State Historic Preservation Board approved replacement Pella windows. The windows that you see on the second floor there are removed at this point. They were probably late 1970s Anderson windows that were in terrible, terrible shape. The board approved the same Pella window that is in your packet. And During construction, the church has asked us if they could install a single casement window into the kitchen. So there is a drawing in your packet of the location of the window. The window location is actually on that drawing, if you can pull that up a little bit further.
Hold on, let me see. Technical issues, come on.
Yeah, Howard, can you slide it
I
up?
don't know why, there we go.
Good job.
Whoa, whoa, whoa,
Too much.
whoa. Okay, hold on.
Okay, so this is actually good. This is the location of the new window. And behind the window is the church's commercial kitchen for the parish house. And the window location is actually in between a location of refrigerators and a sink. And it happens to be the location of a former window. It's a little bit narrower than the former window. So if you could pull up the exterior elevation. It's a single casement, very similar to the upper floors with the same spacing of simulated divided lights. Yep. So it's much more of an industrial 1929 facade than it is the fancier parts of the church. So I can answer any questions. You can speak after.
Yeah.
So.
If there are no questions, I'd like to ask anyone who would like to speak in favor to come forward. Tom?
My name is Tom Cantwell. I'm a member of St. Paul's Church, a longtime member, former chairman of the Buildings and Grounds Committee. This project, putting a window back, is based on the fact that there is no natural light in the kitchen, literally. If you close the door, the whole room is as dark as the tomb. And if you look at the photo, if you remember the photo, there is a leftover windowsill, and that shows where the window was. At this point, there's no one at St. Paul's alive who knows why the window might have been removed. It was done really decades ago, and so there are no members around who know what happened. So this is first an effort to offer some amount of natural light in the kitchen, because otherwise you can't see anything with the at night or with the doors closed. The old sill is going to be reused. I'd actually talked to the construction boss yesterday, and they are going to put the window back where it was. It will not be as large, but that's based on the considerations that is an open wall inside the kitchen, and that's where the appliances have to go. There is no other place in the kitchen to put it, based on doors and a very large stove and so forth.
Thank you.
And the window will match the other windows that have been replaced on that wall.
Anyone here to speak in opposition? Please come forward. Not? Do you have more to?
I will just comment, there is actually a leftover windowsill elsewhere on the building that was being removed as part of the project, and we're actually going to reuse that windowsill. So not the large one there, but a smaller one that is the width that's needed.
So something from the building is being reused in the opening. Any clarifications? I'm going to close the public hearing if there's no. Okay, we'll close the public hearing. Comments from the board?
This looks like a great opportunity to reintroduce daylight back into the kitchen space, albeit it's a smaller window. It's relatively in a historic location, and they are using the window that was previously approved by the board. This looks like a great, simple, easy project, so kudos to the architect on this one.
I just have one question. Is it possible to align the window top and bottom on the left, moving it over depending on your layout of your kitchen. And then for the opening, so it would align, well, to the left. So it would align
With the
top
upper
and-
window?
with the upper window. It depends on your layout of the kitchen.
There's plumbing and there's electrical.
Now it's just moving. Hold on.
It's based on,
Do you want me to control?
oh, it does not look like you can do it. It's tight.
There's a vent stack there for
Well,
the
that's why I'm
sink.
moving it this
Yeah.
way. If it can. If it can't, it can't. But So depending on the layout, okay. So you really don't have room?
There is an existing triple sink here,
Okay,
so we squeezed it as far over. We've got a plumbing vent that we actually have to relocate. We have to relocate electrical, and they don't actually have a hand wash sink.
and are you reusing the brick that's there? When you, well, you're opening up, if you have, preserve that brick that you have, or it's actually, it looks like it doesn't match exactly.
Are you just saw cutting that opening, or are you selectively removing brick?
They'll do brick returns.
Okay.
Yeah, it won't be.
I guess,
Okay.
I think what Julie's asking is, are you taking out a larger section than you need for just this window, and, or you just,
No? Okay.
They'll put a new lintel in and then do brick return. We also matched brick because we're doing a new entry at the we brought the new entry in, so we have brick to match as well.
Okay.
Which is
Okay.
the left.
All right. May I have a motion unless there's more deliberation?
I'll motion to approve the project as submitted.
Second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Any opposition? The resolution passes. Thank you. We are done. Kate, do you want to introduce the next?
Okay, so the next application is under new business, is Z-2877. It is a project plan review for 737 Comstock Avenue. It's a rehabilitation of a fraternity house, and the house is eligible for the National Register. And the board's role is to review and comment and provide those comments to zoning. With that, welcome you up, and if you could introduce yourself to the board. Thank you.
So, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
My name is Vincent Nicotra. I'm an architect with QPK Design, 450 South Salina Street here in downtown. And I'm here to represent the Sigma Chi Fraternity House project. So what they're trying to, can I just go ahead and
Yep,
describe?
absolutely.
So what they're really trying to accomplish here, they want the property, the house and the property to continue for a very long period of time. So there's a constant struggle with the exterior maintenance of the house, you know, given its age and character. So what they're looking to do is to invest in what they hope is a 50-year project, 50-year duration to replace the envelope materials of the house. And in order to obviously maintain, its integrity from weather intrusion, but also to reduce significant ongoing maintenance costs to maintain the house. So the proposal, they applied for a building permit and we did a conditions assessment, went around and looked at the house. And their thought is to try to replace all of the exterior materials as much as possible with materials that would serve, hopefully, a 50-year lifespan. So that would include the roof, which is an existing slate roof that's in pretty poor shape. Portions of the roof are leaking. There's some flat spots up on the roof that would be replaced with what's up there essentially is a membrane roof, and they would replace it with a membrane roof. It's not really visible from any, unless you're, in a drone or up above the level of the house. The windows are, all the windows in the house were replaced at some point in time with vinyl windows, going back at least 50 years, because Hank, who is the current caretaker on behalf of Sigma Chi, actually lived in the fraternity house, and he said the windows were replaced sometime even then. So the idea with the window replacement is to remove the windows back to the rough opening. So that's remove the interior trim, remove the exterior trim, with the exception of anything that's particularly ornamental. And there are some instances of that where there's some ornamental work, not only on the windows, but soffits and things that are very difficult to replace with a modern siding material. So the window replacement, and then they want to, rather than try to scrape this siding, lead-based, I'm sure at some point, they want to remove it all and go all the way back to the original tongue and groove sheathing, and then put a new weather barrier, and then replace it with a composite siding, which is a poly ash, is what they're looking at right now. We gave the name of the company, a very great company to work with. Some of the challenges, the round turret in particular, is one that is challenging to put siding back on, particularly because of its shape. So the other aspects of it is that there is one window that's original. It's stained glass. It's on the north side of the house, right behind the fire escape. They want to keep that, remove it, try to bring it back, resolder all the joints, and put the window back as best we can to rehabilitate it. And then there are some other scopes that include, like that front railing. We're going to put a new set of steps there and replace the porch with the concrete steps are deteriorated, and then they want to put a safe guard railing there. Someone, Julia brought up, I think, the fire escape. The fire escape was done many, many years ago. Our structural engineers actually went out and inspected it and made some scope repairs. This was required by the city of Syracuse. You have to have an annual inspection. So it has been put back into place so that it's functional again. So with regard, I know there's particular questions on the different materials, I understood, Kate. Is that something you want me to address at this point?
Excuse me. I had requested information, specific information about the proposed roof replacement material, the window specs, and then additional information just about the siding itself.
Okay.
I don't know if the board has come across the what is it called, poly ash siding before.
I'd like more information about the poly ash.
Poly ash is a
Boral or-
composite.
Did you say Burrell? Sorry, go ahead.
Boral, that's a brand I've heard of years ago. Is that the brand or Boral? No.
It's on the drawings. I would have to go back and read it carefully because it's
I guess we'd want to know a little bit more about the materials in terms of poly. Is it paintable?
yes, it's poly ash is a combination of they put ash and fiberglass together, and it's a very durable material. I think it's better, you're familiar with hardy fiber cement, but one of the great things about this product is for the cylindrical turret, we can actually get 16-foot lengths of this material and it will bend to the shape. So we were really concerned about how are we going to try to bring, keep the character of it. We were talking about, should we really try to do this vertically with tongue and groove? But in researching this company, they actually sent us a mock-up of how they would bend this material. So we believe it's not an inexpensive product. I'm sure that there are probably less expensive products. We can get you the specifics. I do want to say that, and I know Hank had contacted you, Kate, about sort of their position on some of these things. The financing and the cost to do this is rather significant. So in the documents, we show like an alternate, the base scope that we put in for the polyash doesn't have an alternate. That's the product that we're pretty sure that we're going to try to use here. But the roofing material, there's two options. Certainty makes a product called Grand Manor. If you own a private home, they'll give you a lifetime warranty on it. So it's made to look like slate. It's a 4-tab shingle, very, very heavy, and they warranty it for, I think they'll give these guys a 50-year warranty. If you were a private homeowner, you'd get 100. So they're anxious. We would replace the existing underlayment. Again, go right down to the deck. And then they'd really like to consider an alternate for a synthetic slate. So that material is also listed in the products, and it's on one of the sheets. All these products are listed so that the specifics of it. And the reason they're not being definitive about which one is because it's all cost-driven. So they're working on financing and also fundraising, and I think that's underway. And the reason they're applying for the building permit is they have to hit the ground running in order to expose the house to these Syracuse elements, and they're going to do it in phases. So it's very important that they can hit the ground running. As far as the windows go, they're looking at two options. Marvin Fibrex, it's Ultimate, which is their highest line. It's a composite fiberglass product, very durable and sturdy. The existing windows, as I said, are vinyl. They're either single hung or fixed. That's what they were originally. There's actually no mullions in them in the existing windows as they exist right now. And I don't believe there were, maybe the exception of one place. The period of the house did not use the mullion patterns, the style of it. And so the other window product they're looking at is an Anderson 400 series, which is aluminum clad with a wood interior. And those are the two they're looking at, but they'd like to kind of broaden that, again, based on price point. So that's roof, that's windows, and siding. And that's really the majority of what we're looking at here. But what they want to do is like all the cornice moldings. So if you look at right below the roof, there's a large cornice that goes around. You'll see some more elaborate cornices, like a second picture down on the left. So the idea is to scrape and paint those because we can't, the materials that we're going to replace are basically beveled siding and flat stock trim. And so if there's a curved material, a cornice, they don't want to destroy the look of the house. So the thought is to try to maintain that. They'll have to deal with the maintenance, but it'll be greatly reduced if the body of the house. So there was a question about color, both for the roof and for the house. The idea is to maintain the existing color palette and whatever material is chosen. And basically, again, their goal, they've been charged as former fraternity members to maintain the longevity of this house into the future. So that's really their goal.
Comments from the board?
I just had a couple of clarifications. I I couldn't quite tell between the photos and your details, but I assume that the exterior trim that you're putting on the windows, that's the poly ash, but it's replicating the existing profiles that are there?
It's flat, the existing trim is primarily flat stock, so it's replicating the existing, except for those areas where I told you that in the removal notes, we'll tell you which ones are being removed and which ones are salvaged. So it's primarily those cornices and items that are not flat stock trim. That's because we can't get something comparable, right?
And then you're taking down a chimney?
Yes, the chimneys are non-functional and they create continual, I don't know if you've ever owned a whole old house at a 1905 Tudor. And what happens is the snow builds up behind the chimney and then it just, a constant headache. So they're non-functional and and they're in disrepair. So other ones have been taken down. I don't even know that that's really a full chimney that's existing
I was
still.
wondering, 'cause it looked like it was quite a bit of a little stub there, so. But the other ones, you look like you're maintaining the taller ones?
Pardon?
The more prominent chimneys are being maintained.
I think we're taking down only the one that's kind of halfway up
In the
there.
rear,
and
in
has
the rear
already
is
been-
what it says on the plans,
In the
yeah.
rear, on the north.
Yeah.
Any other questions? I have a question. What is the size of the poly ash siding, the clapboard, in terms of its dimension?
5.5 inches, it's
And does
listed.
it match what's there?
What's out there is probably varies between 3.5 and 4 inches. So this would be a little bit taller.
You maintain that exposure.
The
No,
5.5
he's
is what we're
saying is-
You're
proposing.
proposing the 5.5 rather than the existing 3.5 to 4 inch exposure.
Because if you compare the dimensions, it probably adds 40% material in a project that I was, honestly, I was surprised when they said they were going to do this. Because this is typically not what people are doing to create longevity in their property. I mean, it's a little bit of an undertaking to remove all of that and replace it.
It would be good if we could match or come closer to the dimension that's there, because it will change the aesthetic of the building.
Understood. We understand that, and I think they do as well.
And then what about in the areas of the gabled pediment that's shake, or on the side of some of the dormers? How are you treating that? It appears to be shake.
I have to look if we decided to keep the shake or if we were replacing it.
That would be a question. How is that being treated?
And presumably the recommendation of the board would be to retain the shake in there, okay. Thank you.
And since I'm not familiar with polyash, I don't know if they have a product line that aligns with that.
I don't know. Again, I'll have to look and see what we documented, because I know we discussed it, but I didn't focus on it.
Were you able to do any basic research at OHA to see if you could find any historic images?
We do have some that the fraternity house had.
Okay, because that would be telling, you mentioned you plan on no mutton patterns in the windows.
Yes, there is none from what we can tell in the photograph.
Right.
There was one location, I believe, up high on the, I think it's in that dormer up there, that they might have had a vertical mullions for some reason.
Okay, so you've done that, and then any any thought on gutters, just as a protectant from water splashing back from that front
I don't
porch?
think we have the gutters in there, no.
Is there any, just that concrete deck in the front would splash back all the water onto the building, and you're trying to preserve it for the next 100 years?
I understand.
Yeah, just as I'm just looking at it. And then there's a few items on here listed as removals, like kitchen wing removal. Can you speak to that a little bit?
What are you looking at?
Can you bring up the plan?
Yeah, we should be.
If you can bring up the plan.
What page is that? AD 202. You have removal elevation partial basement demo and removal elevation kitchen entrance. I'm assuming this is towards the rear of the building. I just wanted to have a better understanding of to what extent the changes were happening.
Where is that marked?
8202 next page.
Yeah, no,
Yep.
right there.
Lower left, lower right.
Can we enlarge
indicate
it?
removals.
Yeah, that's a little tack on, somebody added this thing at some point. And it leads down to the basement, and they're trying to protect the, water kind of just goes into the basement.
Okay.
I don't think it's original to the house. And, I don't think we're removing that in its entirety.
Can we go to a plan so that we can see? These are too small.
Yeah.
Which one is the plan? Is it after?
Well, it's 8202. So I'm assuming it's the rear east elevation where it calls out bid option, kitchen entrance, bid option, basement stair.
We're removing basically the envelope pieces and
A102.
putting everything back. You want to go to A1?
Yes, please.
There we go.
Yeah, so lower right image or plan, it's on the back side. Right, those two there, so.
That's this little add-on.
So non-historic additions that
The non-historic
kind of
addition.
come in over time, okay.
It has its challenges. I think they did it to protect the basement.
And there's no longer an issue there, or that's been accounted for?
No, we're going to remove the siding, repair the concrete,
Okay.
and try to put the envelope back in shape so that it continues to offer some level of protection. We're not talking about removing.
Thank you for the clarification. Correct.
Any other comments?
Question concerning the roof, as far as the slate, when you guys looked at what repair costs.
You mean as opposed to trying to keep the slate? I think it's well beyond its life. That's not an option. It's also harder to I got mine.
So our charge is to comment.
To comment.
And I guess the comment would be is, you have more?
Yeah, Vince, can you speak to the railing replacement on the front porch?
That railing on the front porch is staying. It's the staircase that's deteriorated. You can see it in the lower photograph, third from the left in the drawings, that is getting replaced and a new railing being put on.
New railings will match in kind.
They're trying to
They're
match
staying.
what's there.
Right,
yeah.
yeah.
The porch, we're also trying to we're going to put a traffic coating on that porch and try to correct the pitch, because right now the water doesn't come off that in a way that it just continues to create maintenance issue. It rolls over the edge and deteriorates the front
Yeah, it
wall.
rolls back and rots your sill.
Yeah, that's the,
That's it.
On your,
is that
on sheet 8201 porch demo, it just shows the remove metal rail. That's where the question comes from. I'm not sure where the section is cut.
AD 201.
You're talking.
Just, if that's all remaining and all you're removing are the staircase
Well, it's showing being.
and the
removed.
railings, right there, that center detail.
That section above that.
B3.
Above.
Well,
B4.
B3 shows removal of handrail, right there, center of the sheet. Says, remove metal guardrail. Says, that's just pertains to the stair section, or is that the entire front porch? The drawings are kind of small.
Trying to get the porch corrected.
So is that a note to remove and then reinstall existing?
Well, there's a detail of porch stair railing, of a new railing. You're replacing that, and there's a detail on A201 showing the new rail, which matches what was taken out.
You can enlarge it
If you
drag your fingers
drag your
opposite
fingers,
directions.
you can enlarge.
And up.
You need a new system.
Yeah, this is not working. Yeah, yeah.
Well, so just the handrail on the stairs is being replaced. Handrail, guardrail.
Okay, so that just pertains to the handrail at the steps. Okay, thank you for the clarification, Vince.
Thank you. So the comment from the board would be to get samples of material and more definition of what the siding dimension is going to be.
Or I would say that, yeah, more information, however, it sounds as though the recommendations, though, are that the material, that the siding meet the profile, as close to the
possible to the
existing, to
dimension
the
of-
profile of
Historic
dimensions.
profile.
And, let's see,
Question about the third floor being shingled versus
and the
clapboard?
shingles. Those were the two that if they're, if the board's recommendation is about the siding, the profile of the siding, and the replicating the shingle where
And I
Where
guess
possible.
we would also like to know, based on their proposal for two different roof materials, we need to understand which material is being used.
which material would be selected.
Yeah.
Yep, yep.
And,
sounds
and see samples of that.
Is it sufficient for staff to see
Yes.
samples or get the material and be able to report back to you?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right,
That's it?
that's it.
Vince, thank you.
So
So
our comment
does that,
stands.
pardon?
Our comment would stand then if you could investigate utilizing shingle pattern on the third floor.
Thank you.
Great project,
So-
thank you for your time.
Thank you, and you'll get information to Kate, and Kate can,
I'll report back to zoning and to you and to Hank specifically. I'll clarify that through zoning, because it's we need to provide the comment to zoning, and then I'll have that conversation with you. Yeah. About being able to go into, absolutely. Yep, yep, no, sounds good.
Thank you.
thank you. Kate, do you want to introduce the next?
The next application is a minor site plan review for 366 West Onondaga Street, which is the Wade and Shoemaker House. It's an adaptive reuse of the former residence, which is listed on the National Register of Historic Places, and the board's role is to review and comment.
And I
And
just
it's all
want to
yours.
state, Jamie Williams is from Holmes King Colquist, as I am. It is not my project, but just so that the board understands and public.
Morning.
Morning.
I'm Jamie Williams. I'm an architect with Holmes King Colquist Architects. This is the restoration of 366 West Onondaga Street. The photograph you're looking at currently is not quite current in that the front porch was deemed, the superstructure was deemed to be unsafe and has been removed and stored for reuse. So only the stone porch substructure is there now. As you can see, this is one of the grand dames of West Onondaga Street, currently surrounded no longer by grand dames. So it pretty much stands alone. My clients are committed to preserving as much of the historic integrity of the building as possible. As you look at the building now, there's a very complex pattern of exterior wood siding and trim. We intend to restore all of that. The roof the attic had a fire several decades ago, which required a significant reconstruction of the roof framing and sheathing. In the process, a good deal of the slate was lost. I think probably, as you look at that photo, the only slate that you can see here is over on the left. I suspect that the current slate is maybe 35 to 40% of the roof. So our intention is to remove the slate and replace it with a contemporary material that will replicate slate as closely as we can while not investing in slate. Front porch stonework will be deconstructed in its entirety and reconstructed. There is a side porch as well. You can just see a bit of it over on the right that is being reconstructed as well. Kate, can you advance it again? Yeah, that porch. So handicapped accessibility is currently accommodated by a crumbling ramp over on the right there up to the side porch. We intend to replace that with a new ramp. So handicap parking will be in the back, and a new ramp will bring everyone up to the side porch. And then you can see that there's currently an overbuild on the stone porch. We intend to replace that with a new wood frame structure also that would bring us up to the door sill, so that when you get up onto the platform of the porch, you're at the level of the door sill. And if you're wheelchair bound, you can go right in without difficulty. We intend to, the windows are in pretty rough shape. Many are missing. There were a number of windows on the first floor. You can see the transoms on the first floor, and then up the center of this shot is the stair hall. And as you look at the three transoms in the center window, those were probably all leaded glass and taken. So they're all missing. So there are a good number of windows that are not even intact anymore, so we intend to replace all the windows with aluminum-clad wooden windows, Marvin being the basis of design. As I indicated, the exterior is intended to be restored as much as possible, so thermal performance enhancements will be undertaken from the inside out. So we intend to open up the interior walls and apply an aero barrier against the inside face of the exterior sheathing, and then insulate and then resheathe the interiors. Next. As you can see there on the rear, there is a non-historic addition that has the blue tarp on the top of it. We intend to retain that, but we'll be replacing the windows with windows that are more sympathetic to the scale of the original building. Chimneys will be retained in their entirety.
Jamie, can I ask you? It's looking as though the slate is sort of a tan color. Is that correct? So, will the roof color that you go back to replicate, or sort of a red?
As I indicated, I gave you a thumb drive with a rendering.
Oh,
so
you did.
At the end of this, you can drop that in. See what we're intended as far as an overall exterior color palette. Just for your information, this was originally a single-family residence, and then it was converted to a funeral parlor for many decades. The coffin lift is still intact in the rear of the building. So my clients intend to convert this into a mixed-use office on the first and second floor. Since it has such as, if you stick with this plan, since it has such a significant percentage of central space, as you can see the living room indicated there. If you can go back to one, you can see there's a really significant public space where you enter. So the intent, and similarly on the second floor, there's a fairly large central space. So my clients intend to have offices on the first and second floor, and the central spaces will be shared service space, secretarial, administrative, et cetera. For perimeter offices, you go to 2. Similarly, and then if you go to 3, that will be congregate living. Similarly, there will be a shared living, dining, kitchen space, and then apartments with small kitchenettes sharing the main living space.
Are you interested in seeing the renderings? Yes. Okay. Please. So when we stick those renderings in.
dragged them in there and pulled it out of the thumb drive. I apologize.
Okay.
Pardon?
No, they're both empty.
Oh, okay.
Two pieces of
Pass
paper.
them around. So based on this, the colors are to replicate what the original colors of the building. Do you want to come up and introduce yourself? Chris?
Morning, everyone. Chris LaBerge. I'm one of the developers. I'm also my partner, Luke Esposito, is also here. And maybe this is unnecessary, but from the research we have, and then also looking at what exists on the shingles out there, it appears that the original color was predominantly like a brown, kind of like burgundy color. But my familiarity with the property pretty much my entire life, and most people's, I think, that have been by it, is as a green, this big green kind of grand dam, like Jamie said. And in thinking about how we were going to market this and position it, you know, some of the results of which you're seeing there on that flyer, we decided to stick with kind of green as a defining or identifying color. I mean, most people in the neighborhood, and myself included, have known it that way for 40 years. So
over 50 years it's been green?
Yes. So, anyway.
Thank you. Any questions? Because our charge here is to just review and comment.
Provide comment to zoning, yep.
One quick clarification. You mentioned that you're going to be reinstalling a ramp for the side porch access, but the drawings say a lift.
Oh, that's right, we did. I apologize. Yeah, we had a ramp through the lion's share of the project.
Okay.
And we recently switched that to a lift.
Okay.
So there will be just a small lift located on the rear of the porch.
Less space in the parking lot.
Yeah. Yeah. Nope, that's fine. That's why I asked.
I would offer a round of applause on this project.
Yeah.
This is a long time coming. This is fantastic. Shot in the arm for West Onondaga Street and all the happenings going on down there. You're doing material for material. We're not swapping out a non-wood product. This is great as a preservation project. The roof slate is a asphalt base
Or fiberglass.
or fiberglass. I'm presuming that we're matching exposure of the shingle size, and
Yes.
so, I mean, all in all, this is just a fantastic historic renovation, true to the core, and long time coming, fantastic, wholeheartedly support. This is great. Thank you very much. You and your team. Great job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I get my empty thumb drive?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
How'd that happen?
Yeah, you think you're good to go?
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Jamie.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
I don't know if they want these. Do you need your flyers back?
Chris, do you want the
Chris,
flyers
or-
back?
Yeah, you guys can keep them if you don't want anything for office space too.
You sure you don't want?
Shameless pitch here.
I know where to find you.
So the next project is a major site plan review, 1920 Park Street. It is an adaptive reuse of a vacant factory which was related to the Moyer Carriage Factory and Doneto Electric Corp. It's listed on the National Register of Historic Places, and again, the board's role is to review and comment. This is, I believe, a tax credit project as
Correct.
well. So, and you have, your Part 2 has been approved, if I'm not mistaken?
We have a comment letter on our Part 2 that I think you guys have, and there was, we're working through their comments.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the only thing they brought up was an interior stair.
Yeah, there was nothing, as far as I remember, there's nothing exterior that they were
Nothing
concerned
exterior.
about.
Yep,
Right.
yep, yep. Good morning, my name is Joe Perino, I'm with In Architects. We're at 239 East Water Street, just right around the corner. And I just want to introduce you to the Wellington Ward project at 1920 Park. It basically consists of the renovation of 2 buildings and a connector. The 301, the brick building is 301 Wolf Street, and that is a Wellington Ward building built in 1909. The 1920 Park Street building was built 1892, and that's the one that has all the parging on the left side of that photograph there. And then there's a connector that was built circa 1940 that is in the middle of those 2 buildings. You could see the white transit asbestos panels. This was all part of the H.A. Moyer factory complex that included what was across the street in Penfield. That was all one at one time. So the project is 59 apartments with 6 affordable units. We're going to have about 5,000 square feet of commercial space. It splits about 2,500 in the 1920 Park Street building and about same amount in 301 Wolf Street, right up against the Wolf Street. We plan to provide parking underneath in the basement of 301. There's a ramp, current ramp that kind of loops around. So the plan is to come in off of Park Street for cars to, you could park, they'll have some outdoor parking, and then there'll be some indoor parking that comes in around off of Park. There'll also be some parking off of Wolf, and but that includes demolishing a wooden or a masonry building that was built as part of 311 Wolf Street that we're not touching right now. The owner's trying to get a hold of that property so that we can actually do this parking that we show off of Wolf Street. Wolf Street is the one going up and down on the right side, and Park is the one below on the south side. So mainly the buildings we're going to be replacing all the windows with historic windows. We are going to be repointing and fixing the brick that has been deteriorating over the years. There's a lot of cornice work that needs to be done. We're going to be, there's a lot of water damage. There was a fire in 1920 Park that we're replacing a lot of that wood structure. The roof on 1920 is compromised, and we're going to be removing the roof and rebuilding it back up on the 1920. So there is a lot of interior work that we won't get into, but it's basically to reinforce the structure and so that we could keep this building going and into the next century. But the outside mainly is going to be just repointing the brick, leaving the brick as it is, keeping the window openings as they are, replacing the window openings or the windows with new historic aluminum-clad windows. The connector is currently a lucite, like an asbestos panel with windows, and that has to come off, and we do plan on, I don't know, Kate, did you receive the rendering that we sent?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Give us the jump drive, just.
Yeah. We do have,
Yeah, that would help.
of course, when you're running to a meeting, the copier doesn't print. And so this is what we got.
We don't know about that.
You all know about that, right? So
No.
the connector right now, we're planning on using a metal siding. I brought the sample's not the right color, so, and we're not doing a wood. We're doing black. This is color, but this is the material. And that's this.
Right, but what is it?
It's metal.
Oh, okay. Steel.
Applied horizontally, as shown.
Horizontally, correct. Like a clapboard, but it's smoother. Yeah, 5 inch. And so that's probably the biggest change visually on the building, going to the black instead of the way it is now is white. But we're also trying. There was no bottom floor to this. It was open, so you could actually walk through and drive through. So this is going to be our entrance, our main entrance into the facility. It's going to be because the floors are not, they're kind of at half levels. When you walk in, you'll have a story and a half, not two stories, but about a story and a half. We can walk in, it'll have a nice entrance. And then that connector area is where our vertical circulation that will connect the two buildings. So we'll have an elevator that will come out on one side and then go up 30 inches and then come out on the other side. So that maintaining handicap accessibility throughout both buildings will be taken care of with a new elevator in the connector, or actually behind the connector, because we didn't want to ruin that structure that's there. Do you have any pictures of that? Oh, we can go to the plan, go back up to the plan. Yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah, right there. Yeah, so the plan is this connector here, because of the different levels. You can see we're going up partially to get up to a level, and then we'll continue up to that next level.
So from the rear of the building, it's accessible?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Yeah, because the tenants will be either parking in the back, or will be parking in the basement, or there'll be street parking, because we have 59 apartments, 59 apartments, and 17 spaces on the inside. And what was, and then we only have like 11 or so. So one of the dominant features of this building in the back, on the north side, of those two stairs, we're going to maintain those stairs as is. We're going to try to keep all the finishes intact on the inside. It's all concrete, and we're going to maintain those. So the apartments are laid out with a double-loaded corridor in the 301 building, and the 1920 is a little bit different because it's a different form. We are trying to we want to replace the existing stair that will go all the way up, and then we'll have a penthouse above that that kind of is going to look like the existing penthouse that's up there. I'd like to ask Vincent to come up and talk about the site a little bit more, if you want to go back to the site plan. Or do you have any questions? Or?
Yeah, I have questions about
Sure.
materials. At the base of the masonry building that wraps around it, from the photographs of the existing, is that a concrete block or stone? And now you've got parging. So what is the existing?
My name is Frank Kuzmano from an Architects. So the base of that is just a masonry poured, sill or water table that goes all the way around.
Existing?
Existing, yeah.
Right. And you're coming back with a parging material, ethos material?
Just a repair, yeah.
Just a repair, so,
Yeah.
okay. And then?
And then infill wherever it's missing.
Okay.
We're gonna infill and put it back in because there's a lot of proportions, like you see on the Park Street side, there's 2 overhead doors where
Right.
we're gonna be infilling and putting in that missing piece, and then putting in the original windows that were there previously.
Yeah, those doors were put in
So those
later.
doors are gonna go away.
So, question about the windows, the arch top, you're suggesting there's aluminum-clad, black-colored windows that are going to the masonry structure. How are you treating the arch? Is that part of the system?
The arch is actually part of the frame.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
actually wood right now. It's-
The windows were
it's never
never
been
arched.
part of the
They were
window.
always a flat
Well-
top. So
No,
we're
I
gonna go
understand
back
that.
to
I just want to
Yeah.
know what the material is in terms of what you're coming back with
Yeah,
in
just
that
be
opening.
framed out.
Okay.
It'll be
With wood?
Yep.
Wood, yes.
Okay. And then the cap of the masonry building right now, I guess I'm trying to understand the dimension that you're putting, because here it looks quite large in terms of what you're putting on top as opposed to the existing building. What is that?
Oh, the cornice?
Yeah, the cornice on
Cornice is
301.
all existing, right now, so we're just
We
gonna.
enlarge that
Yeah, we-
picture? Middle
We-
one, yeah.
We just want to replace in kind the cornice.
So if you go up to that.
Okay, so it's
scroll up.
deceiving in terms of this rendering. It looks like you're doing something
Yeah, see, there's a
more.
portion missing right there as well.
Okay,
So we're
yeah.
gonna just be replacing that.
Okay.
In kind.
soon,
All right.
and, then just repainting and stuff.
And it's just a hollow metal?
Yeah.
Yes, it's metal.
On-
It's
Over
metal
a
with,
little wood frame, some
wood frame behind it
lookouts.
to- Exactly.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And that, this is really the worst part of the
Yes.
missing, but if around the corner on the north side, there's areas where that's like that, and also the brick cornice is failed, and it's coming down. So we
I
really
just wanted
need
to
do that.
understand at the top, because
Yep.
based on this rendering, it looks like flat and that you're changing something.
Yeah,
You're not.
no, we're
Okay.
not. We
Okay.
want to replace in kind both cornices. As you can see in the 1920 building, the facade has been parged, but the rest of the building isn't. It's brick
On the other side.
on the other sides. So we want to maintain the, just like it is. We're going to
Okay,
keep
so
the
you're just
parging.
repairing parge where it exists and keeping masonry repointing.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes, there is, in the back corner of 1920, there's a structural failure and that corner's kind of collapsing. Yeah, you can see, so you can see it in this back corner. There's a lot of work that has to be done structurally, because if you look from the back, you'll see that it's kind of falling down.
Opened up.
So there's a
Structurally,
lot
we're-
of structural.
We're taking care of the we're reinforcing.
Yeah, pretty much every beam is going to be
Is the
reinforced.
fire escape staying?
No,
Okay.
no, we're replacing it. We're getting rid of it.
Couple comments before we go to site. Did you give thought on the spandrel building or the connector building to install vertically on your siding?
I think we did have we had a couple of renderings that we looked at, and I believe we did have a vertical, but we felt that we liked this better. So just subjectively, yeah.
And I think with the
Cur-
brick, the
the-
linear brick,
Yeah, well,
Leave that linear.
the current texture, the corrugated vertically installed,
Yeah.
really, to me, it defines an addition, right? To me, the horizontal kind of homogenizes the facades, which never was there, right? So having that vertical element helps to break down that facade and still lets the building read as two separate buildings unified, right? So the story is still apparent to the casual observer. My comment, I would lean towards a vertical
Siding there.
siding on that.
I
On that info.
agree. I don't know if I would agree, and
just
we're
my
not
opinion,
designing it,
yeah.
but.
Yeah, it's
Just my
subjective.
read, right, it's just my read on,
I think with it being
on the
more of
entire
a
facade.
contemporary material too, like a more modern, it kind of does what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
It splits up those two existing.
And the color.
The color.
Now the color really separates it, and that's one of the things we wanted to do.
yeah, I mean, if it's gonna be that dark, it really pushes it back.
Yeah.
But to me, I would see it as a vertical siding to really break up the facade and not make it one continuous piece, because it never was. It's multiple buildings united, right?
Any other comments from the board? Site.
Vincent Ryan, Keppinger Freeman Associates. Joe touched on most of this, but in terms of as it pertains to the Landmark Preservation Board, everything's pretty much staying the same. There is a curb cut along Park Street that will be basically removed and replaced and put in with a 6-inch curb, so there'll no longer be parking in front of the building. In its place, Park Street is slated to continue the Empire State Trail, so there'll be a multi-use path placed in front of this building. So what we're proposing right now, and that's in discussion with the city, is an asphalt path. The city's still designing that area. So what you'll see is a multimodal bike path in front of 301 and 1920, which will remain asphalt for the time being, but a majority of that area will be turned into green space for the facility. Yeah, that's good. So you could see that gray area out in front of the building. 1920 will be a controlled access, so there'll be a gate back there. Residents will be able to key in and then use the garage and the spaces back there. But the driveway along Wolf Street will be a public access, mostly for the commercial business for deliveries and things like that, as well as the dumpster, which you see there. I didn't see the site prep. I know it's in the set, but if we go to that, I just want to make note of this is actually fine right here. So the reason we appreciate being in front of you today, but we are working with the CPC to get the subdivision figured out, because we just got to figure out where that line is going to go, because the 311 property will become part of our property. Right now, it's obviously connected to this building, part of that property, as well as this area. So the dash red line you see here is a one-story masonry building, CMU block. We don't know when it was put on, but obviously much later than the rest of the structure. So that will be removed to make room for the parking lot, etc. In terms of site, pertains to the LPB. And you got your transformer.
Before we continue to comment, I'd also like to note for the record that my husband, Vincent Ryan, is part of the project team, just so that we have that noted as we go forward.
Thank you for that. Couple clarifications. In the lower right section of 301, where the arrow points out the door, that's a new opening cut into the masonry
Yes, actually, that
building?
is a new opening as part of the commercial space. We're out in the right-of-way, so we'll be getting an encroachment permit. But the
What does
intent
that-
there is for a patio, which would be concrete.
Okay, so that rectangle there is a patio that is that accessed at grade or just from the building?
Only from the building.
Only from the, and then what does your detail look like for that area well that continues to that to let the light into
We're
the?
still working on that with the structural, so we can certainly come back with that.
Just to clarify.
This.
Yeah, can you?
Sorry, so there's a retaining wall along the building that's actually in the right of way that provides relief from the building, so windows are in the basement. There's a whole.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Right, so-
area ways will be maintained. The idea is this front area would be commercial. We don't know, it could be a cafe, it could be
Okay.
a restaurant, and if it does, we want to have some seating out in this area. Now, that's what we hope for, but we don't know what tenant is going to come.
Can you
They may
point
not
out,
need that.
point out the patio versus, you've got an areaway and that's a proposed,
This is the areaway
Way.
it's going to maintain. We're going to build something over top of that for
Okay.
an outdoor area. Again, we're still.
We're working on that.
what are the
City.
proposed materials for that?
Thank you.
We were planning on doing that out of concrete and probably a metal railing around it.
If that moves ahead, we'd probably want to see
No, we
that.
definitely
And the areaway is what material?
It's all concrete.
Okay,
Yeah,
Okay.
concrete.
with a cap on it, or it's just,
It's got a grate.
Okay.
Steel grate.
Okay.
You could see it in the images if you.
So,
And then you're doing kind of the same thing over here.
Right.
So this here has a step and then a couple of steps down. And yeah, you can see, because it is quite steep. So what we wanted to do, because this height matches this height, we just figured we could make a handicap accessible sidewalk, get you right there, right on grade.
So it's 2%.
And then still have some steps up and have an area
Okay.
there. Again, it's in the right way.
and,
Again, it'd be concrete.
right, and your railings would match, I assume you'd use the same railing system.
Well, it depends on what the differential is, whether they need hand railing. If that's a-
We're at 5% right now.
Oh, it's
so-
5%,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, we don't need a railing there. We'll need a railing. The railings are shown on the plan. So there'll be a railing here, which will go into the stair railing.
Right.
Obviously railing here, but you won't have any railing.
That's what I'm saying,
Yeah.
along
Yeah,
the
it's,
wall.
the railing over here is only landscape. Yeah, so we'll end up being about 2 feet.
Okay.
So technically, we don't need a railing, but we don't want to. We want to
Okay,
have
so
something.
you're going to do
Edge.
something, okay.
Yeah.
All
And
right.
same on this side. That one may be more for, you know,
The separations. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
separations
Okay.
from the street. Just trying to connect that main line. Correct.
No, no issue there. It's just materiality.
Yep.
Other comments? So recommendations, very nice project. As far as I can see, there are no real materials other than what's been shown in terms of replacement materials. Everything is in kind. So, good project. Okay.
Thanks. And related to this is the
The next
lead
part of
agency,
that,
yes,
lead
the
agency.
lead agency request. This is, yeah,
Yeah, where's that sample?
samples down there. So the Planning Commission has declared its intent to act as a lead agency for the purposes of the environmental review seeker of this adaptive reuse. And CPC is seeking SLPB's consent to be the lead agency, meaning the CPC will be the lead agency for seeker. So if the board is okay with that.
I'm okay with that. Do I have
yes.
to sign something?
You do, and I have something for you to sign.
Yes.
Okay.
I have no problem with the CPC taking lead.
No.
So, as far as your project is concerned, the CPC will be the lead agency for seeker,
For seeker.
and not us.
But it's just an acknowledgement that that's taking place, so. Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank
That's it.
you.
Yeah, you're all good. Yeah.
Great project. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Frank.
And last but not least, discussion item. This is, I think, the majority of you have had the opportunity to walk through the property at 527 Oak Street. And I received this additional information. Oh, no.
Take them again.
Yeah, just. Yesterday, which is what I believe is up on the screen now, but we also have the plans. So I'll let you guys, so this is just for discussion and in anticipation of a certificate of appropriateness that will be happening later. So anyway, take it away.
Thank you for your patience.
Thank you. Good morning. And thank you for having us. My name is Olive Sipuma, and I am Vice President and COO at Interfaith Works. And I just wanted to just give a brief description of actually the mission and goals of the project before I hand over to Zach to go through the renovation adaptation details with you. So Interfaith Works is actually right around the corner from where Oak Street is located. We're at 1010 James Street. We've been invested and a part of the North Side community for a long time at this point. And our mission is to affirm the dignity of everyone and all faith traditions, build racial and religious equity, and create bridges of understanding among us. And within that mission, we have three main programs. Our social justice work comes under the Center for Dialogue and Action. Our second program is the Center for Healthy Aging, where we have programming to address isolation and loneliness for older adults. And then the third and last program under which this project sits is the Center for New Americans, which is our refugee resettlement program, which we have done for over 40 years at this point. And in this last year that ended September 30th, we actually resettled 1,015 individuals. We have a great housing staff. They're able to secure housing and for all of the families that we receive. But this project has been one of our dreams, long-term dreams, because it does give us flexibility and helps us ensure a dignified first few weeks and welcome for all of our arriving clients. Because if we're not able to find appropriate housing on time, then this facility would be available and will be available to facilitate that. So we have, I don't know if we're allowed to gush, in this setting, but I will say we're really excited and thrilled to have found this as the home. It is the ideal location and checks all of the boxes for what we were looking for in this kind of facility. And essentially, we have three main goals with this property. The first goal is to have handicap accessible two family units on the downstairs, which would then help us with being able to house on a temporary basis any families where some of the members or one of the members might have mobility challenges. That's the most difficult housing to find in Syracuse, and so it's critical that we have this available. And then, so that's the first goal. The second goal is we want to be part of solutions for the housing shortage and housing crisis in Syracuse, affordable housing units. And so we are planning on 4 studios or 1 apartment or 1 bedroom units upstairs to house 4 single individuals at a time. So the downstairs would be a temporary stay of about 4 to 6 weeks, 6 weeks averaging, and then the upstairs would be longer term rental for 12 to 18 months. And then the third main goal then is, an expression of our investment and ownership of being a Northside neighbor and helping with revitalization and bringing a property back that we all as a community can be proud of. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Great.
Hello, my name is Zach Bloomer with Echo Architects. I'm fortunate enough to be working with Interfaith Works on such a nice project. I'd like to go over kind of our preservation strategy and adaptation strategy of this project. This is a 100-year-old historic home that was a single-family home that has been basically chopped up into substandard apartments over the past 50, 70 years, whatever it's been. And our goal is to really make, as Olive touched on, it's to provide dignity for the housing of the apartments that this building will provide. So what we're trying to do is not reinvent what is here, but just make nicer. For the exterior of the building, which is basically the most important part of this meeting, our approach is heavily kind of based on preservation and rehabilitation of existing material, detail, and to not really change the outward appearance of the building. So we are proposing that we fix in kind the front porch, all the detailing in the railings, all the detailing in material. We are proposing complete renovation of all exterior siding materials in kind, as close as we can to preserving the intent of the initial house, is in terms of material and in terms of aesthetics. So as far as like the clapboard siding, we want to maintain the exact same coverage, which is a very small 3-inch to 4-inch coverage in the wood. We are planning on replacing the roof. The roof is currently asphalt shingle, so we would be replacing that with asphalt shingle roofing, and basically it's sheet roofing on all of the flatter surfaces, so we'd be kind of replacing that in kind as well. There are a few sections in this building that we would like to point out. If you could go to the preservation document and scroll up to the back. Keep going, please. Right there, this picture. There is one portion as part of the adaptation of this building. All the adaptation will occur on the back side of the building, away from street facing, not visible in general. There is one section of this house which is an addition that was built maybe 50 years ago that is falling down, and it's basically just it's an interior stair that is out of compliance and in pretty rough shape. So we are proposing that we take that down and kind of restoring the original footprint of the building.
So you're proposing to remove it in its entirety?
Exactly. This.
Right. Can you show us in plan? So
Yeah, right. It's right here. If you want to go to the plans drawing. And it should be the demo. So up. One more.
And that porch, if that is a porch?
The porch remains, that's just
Okay.
window replacement.
Okay.
So this would be the only structural element that really is a volume of space that gets removed from the building. There is one more, I guess I could address one more removal of building that is perceived from the exteriors. We are planning on taking down 2 non-prominent chimneys that are non-functional. And so if you go to the preservation document, if you scroll down. Yep, this page right here. So we would be planning on maintaining this larger prominent chimney, so that would be repointed, fixed. But this one, which is basically a flue, which is unused and in very bad condition, we're proposing to take that down. And there is one other chimney that you cannot see from the street, from the behind, or from anywhere, which is kind of on the north side, tucked in behind here, that we're also planning on removing. We're doing that for 2 major reasons. One is for in the basically for purposes of our planning for the apartments. These two unused chimneys create a barrier for creating floor plans that provide accessibility for our apartments that we're proposing on the first floor. And the second reason is to decrease the possibility for roof leaking. We will be adding gutters to this building. If you scroll up on this document. One more, please. Or two more. Right, yep, down right there. Yeah, so we will be adding gutters to this building, but we will try to do it in a historically sensitive fashion. This building did initially have the built-in kind of fascia gutters of most historic homes that have been covered up by the roofing, so we'll try to reestablish that line, remove the old gutters, and put in this kind of colonial profiled gutter that will help with the aesthetics of the building.
Quick clarification.
Sure.
Will you be removing the existing trim to put that on, or is this over that, this gutter system?
We're working on that detail right now. Okay. So the existing trim is the built-in gutter that has been roofed over.
So that, it's a Yankee gutter.
Yeah, it's a Yankee gutter, exactly.
The whole soffit's there, and you've got your exterior fascia.
Right.
And then on top of that, your Yankee gutter.
Right,
So that's covered over.
we got to figure out if we have to remove some of that to put in this gutter and then the roof kind of drops out, or if we can put it proud, but I don't think we're going to be able to put it proud. So that's something that we're working at. But the intent is to make it look like it's built into the trim work.
Thank you.
There are two, so we are planning on preserving all of the historic, or rehabilitating all of the historic windows in the house, and then adding storm windows. We will be providing exterior insulation into the envelope to bring this building up into modern standards. We are planning on transferring all of the electric, or all of the mechanicals to electric. So we are proposing all new heat pump systems that are all electric, getting rid of all gas service to the building. That shouldn't really have an effect on the outside, except for where we place the condensers, but I think that's going to be in the rear of the building. So
when you mention new storm windows, what kind of material are you proposing for the storms?
They'd be aluminum, small profile.
And you mentioned insulation. How are you proposing to do that?
We're working on a strategy right now, but I believe it's going to be a cellulose blown in.
Blown in, so you're going to be drilling or taking off siding to do that?
Well, the siding on this building is in pretty rough shape.
Okay.
I think during the process of re-siding and fixing all of the siding, there's going to be plenty of opportunities to blow in and fix without having the plugs.
Plug holes. Well, that's why I'm asking.
Yeah, we're going to try to stay away from that as much as possible.
Thank you. This is just discussion.
This is just discussion, yeah.
It's a great project, beautiful house. So, and last question, I'm assuming, but I don't want to assume, the columns on the front porch are going to be maintained?
Yes,
the
they're
base and the
ionic.
caps and-
Yep. I guess the one thing that I kind of failed to mention that I'd like to point out is the point of this project is preservation, but we do have accessible kind of component to this. So the one new construction portion of this building is this ramp that you can see.
Right.
So we want to do this as simply as possible. It's away from the street. If you scroll down, I think this picture.
Page 5.
Yeah.
There you go.
So basically what we want to do is create a ramp that gets you up 40 inches. So it's going to be a long ramp. So we want to build it out of simple dimensional lumber. And we're not trying to recreate anything historical with that. And the only alteration to the building is changing a window that's here into a door and pulling this roof line over. So we really tried to approach this in a way that was the most non-invasive way possible.
It just takes up less space.
Yeah, we can explore.
I feel it's a very sympathetic approach to a beleaguered house that needs a lot of love and attention, so it's a great project. Just a few items. Again, this is a great historic preservation. We're matching wood for wood. We're matching railings. Kudos to the project here for rehabilitating that front porch. I mean, it's a kind of I don't want to say iconic because it's ionic columns, but it's the encapsulation of the structure. Is that beautiful, deep front porch, full width front porch. So very excited to see that. Page 3, excuse me. You say an adaptation of railing. I'm assuming more of like a simple pipe rail down the stairs.
Yeah. So
right, and not the wood chunky stuff that we see currently.
Not this. We're only speaking about
correct.
This kind of add.
You're keeping the balustrade on the porch.
Yes.
Right. So if
and that would be a steel or a wrought iron kind of approach to it.
Pipe, galvanized pipe railers. Yep. And then around towards the back with the new ramp and transitioning a window to a door, we're going to lose the historic opening to the basement door. So we've got plans to address that on the inside. Right. So we have basement access.
Right. Correct.
Because that door goes away. And then you have a new ADA compliant door there in the back where you're going to extend the roof. Very sympathetic.
Well, let him.
Yeah, so there is an access to this stairwell right here as well as here. This one will go away, so that will get sided over, but the access point still remains here. And we're creating a new stair to the basement for each.
Okay. I'm just trying to just review all the major exterior changes.
Sure.
Just going around the house. So that looks great. Chimney removal, spot on. Reducing the one, maintaining the other. The other one's out of sight. That's great. Interior. I know we don't talk too much about the interior, but the language in here is you're raising the elevation of the handrail on the historic staircase. Can you talk a little bit about that? I mean, it's out of our purview, but
sure.
You have it in here.
So the intent.
I had your time.
Yep. You go down a little bit more. Yep.
Yeah, so this.
Right. So right now, this great historic railing. I mean, it's very beautiful, but it's very low. It's
Understood.
27 or 28 inches low. So what we're proposing is basically keeping it intact, and we're still working out the details for this. So the same profiles, the same wood, and then creating rails at the bottom of the balustrade that gets lifted off the floor to make the top of the railing the correct height. Because we have the posts that will allow for that railing to move up.
So the posts are at the right height that you can do it.
Right.
Okay.
So, and we can do that by adding a bottom rail and then supports. So it would, aesthetically, it will look very similar. It's just hopefully nobody will fall over it.
Sure. I fully understand and commend that to meet code.
Well, and at that point, in some places, it's a guardrail, and then it's going to go pretty high. So once you touch it, you're going to have to bring it up to code, and it will no longer just be a handrail height, it will be a guardrail height over that balcony. So
that goes up to 42?
Yes. So
Another
that's a
15
consideration, and then something to think about.
Yeah,
Definitely. I didn't realize it went up to 42. I thought it would stay at 36, that
Well, the handrail height, you have some, well, there's also a range with the guardrail, but when it's not over the stairs and it's a balcony, it's a guardrail. So if there was a possibility to do something other than touching it,
For a bell.
Yeah, that's what
well, when you're on the upper floor, you're looking down over it, that's no longer considered
Stair, that's a mezzanine, basically.
something to be investigated.
That's where
not
I'm
designing it.
My thought process, Julia's picked up on it. There might be a easier alternative to handle that, where you're not lifting the entire existing staircase, and then once you touch it, it becomes new. So you might want to look into other possibilities to still meet code, but not do a major change to that
Sure.
railing.
Yeah, we've seen examples where there's basically plexi kind of applied to the inside of it. And
I don't know if I would suggest that.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying that.
It-
But there's other opportunities out there to.
Sure.
Other than, because what you're describing, it sounds to me like a major lift. And when I say that, like a very expensive treatment, where a different train of thought might get you the same result at a lesser cost,
Okay, yeah,
while maintaining the historic character and historic scale, right? As we look at protecting our buildings, scale is one of our predominant features that we always talk about with preservation.
I don't have a solution, but it's something you need to
Sure.
study.
It will be addressed.
It needs more
Yeah.
study. I mean, it's beautiful interior.
And the carving over the staircase.
So those are my comments. Again, this is just a terrific addition to the neighborhood. I guess I could say that I'm an adjacent neighbor.
Two houses down.
Adjacent property owner, and this structure has been lacking for decades. And happy to see the investment and happy to see the new ideas coming in. So kudos to the project. Thank you.
And I like the name.
Okay, so the last thing that I would like to mention to the board is we are currently exploring paint colors. So,
Yeah.
so right now the building's white on white. We have not come to a conclusion of our strategy yet, but we're just exploring. So,
And to that point, you can bring that information to Kate, in terms of a discussion, unless it's going to come again to the board.
It'll be as a C of A, a certificate of appropriateness. So
Okay.
we're.
So we'll
yes,
discuss it
this
then.
is- this
But
is-
even prior to that, they can bring
Yeah,
it
if
to
you-
you if there's.
Yeah, if there is any question. But
Yeah, I
there's a
mean-
lot, there's a lot of latitude with.
I would go to that staircase that you're ripping off and do a little scraping. Because that back corner was covered early on. And whatever is at the base, whatever that base coat is, would give you a pretty close tell of what body and trim was. 'Cause
right?
are those pedimented corners in the back corner as well?
No,
The pilasters?
no, they're
No.
just in the
It's
two
just,
fronts.
just in the front. Just that corner, I believe, is encapsulated with that stair addition.
Yeah,
So that time capsule, as you will, would be there that you could scrape on, to look
Yeah.
for both body and trim color.
You might be able to see that when you open up the Yankee gutters, when it was roofed over, you might be able to see the colors. Thank you.
Project.
Great project. Thank you.
So last
Okay,
but not least.
truly, at least, this nomination, we discussed it a few meetings ago, giving you the heads up about the Westcott University Neighborhood Historic District. As a certified local government, the State Preservation Office sends the nomination to you to ask if you have any comments, concerns, and/or compliments to send on in preparation for their state review board meeting, which is coming up December the 5th. And I don't know if you want a quick overview again of the nomination, or if you have any questions at this point.
I'm actually trying to find the email I was sent that I was going to receive a file on this from an individual. But I can't.
So it's about 20, there are 2,600 contributing buildings, objects, and features in this district. And we've counted only about 117 non-contributing, which is pretty amazing for the size of district. Period of significance is 1840 to 1945, so about 100 years. And the primary development was between 1870 and 1945, or the end of World War II, when it was mostly built out. It is an planned streetcar suburb. So unlike sort of Berkeley and Sedgwick and Strathmore, which are all planned, very carefully planned developments, this one was a series of individual tracts. Actually, Amber, if you go to the next slide. So we've laid those all out. The boundaries were drawn based on the character of the development that you can see as you go along Cumberland. Actually, there is no development here. Well, anyway, I won't get into it. So. But this is a steep hill. There's nothing going on here. And then here, this section of Westmoreland, those are properties that all date to the 1950s. So very different character. And the same as the same case for lower end
Broad Street.
No sidewalks.
Just an off question.
Yes.
Fairview? The northerly.
Track, yes?
That's the farm? That's the dairy farm? Fairview Farm?
That's a good question. I'm not sure. I'm
Well,
not sure if
I've
that's...
seen butter churns that say Fairview
Fairview.
Farms.
Oh, that's
and it's like an
interesting. Yeah.
1840 Erie Boulevard East was.
Huh. And I'm not sure what, I'll have to go back and I'll talk to Sam about where the name came from, but quite possibly, yeah. What else can I tell you? So as I said, it was a series of these smaller developments that were pulled together. The earliest being sort of to the east there, and you see the earliest, not surprisingly, the earliest building types are there, sort of more sort of clustered around the Babcock, Truar, actually a little bit, probably the oldest house is on Beach, which is that diagonal that goes up. It's about must be an 1840s house or so forth. And there are scattered throughout some older properties that date to when this was all farm fields and orchards and the like. I would say the hallmarks of this are its density as well as the diversity of architectural styles. But because of its fairly rapid growth between about 1870 and the 1940s, it's, as Sam Gruber has said, just sort of an encyclopedia of architectural styles of those periods, all in fairly good shape. But the density of the neighborhood is really, it has been maintained and is, one of the hallmarks of it. So it's eligible under Criterion A for National Register Criterion A for its community planning and development, and under Criterion C for architecture. Every property owner should have received a letter about the National Register nomination, what it means for them, including the tax credit information. And there is a meeting on October the 30th, a public meeting, online, 7 to 8:30 p.m. With SHPO to go through the whole nomination process and answer anybody's questions. And the link to that meeting can be found on the city's website. If you go and look under, if you type in Westcott University Neighborhood Historic District, and is it also on the PACNY website? And it's also on the PACNY website. Finally, PACNY is the sponsor of this, so the Preservation Association, Central New York. And so we have PACNY to thank for pushing this one, getting us to this point, and hopefully over the line on December 5th. So.
She's going to send a link to all of us.
Yep. And so I have numerous photographs of building types. No, fortunately, the State Preservation Office did not require that. We have about 60 or 70 photographs that are included. And,
Wow.
And again, it's not so much, yeah, I mean, there are individual properties that are pulled out, but a lot of it is the sort of the streetscape and that continuity of development.
Who's got the Excel file with all the information about each of the houses?
Yeah, I have the Excel file. No, actually, that's something that we can post as well.
Cool.
I haven't had a chance to read this too thoroughly, but is there documentation here about Jamesville Ave, South Beach? How that was our primary artery from the canal out to Jamesville that got cut up, and
I don't think it
is there any
goes
language in
into
there?
it
'Cause
that,
I mean, that gets
in
us,
that depth.
that gives us our period of significance a little earlier as a direct farm road, basically, that connected Lodi, which is Lodi Lock,
Right.
to Jamesville, New York. And it was pretty much a straight line. The lower section of beach kind of got obliterated by the grid that came out of Syracuse in the 1830s. But the historic alignment at Genesee Street picks up its alignment as it goes up, basically a straight line to Jamesville that's been cut up by Clark, and it becomes Strong Ave, and then it runs to
Right.
Lenox, and then it gets stopped. And I think
And
part
then it
of
gets picked up again.
Westmoreland picks it up. That historic, 1820s, 1830s alignment. That's still
There is some mention
readable, but
about Beach Street in particular, but it does not go. It does include, by the way, the old Lodi Cemetery.
yes, which is on Beach.
Oh, which is on Beach. But that is something that we could certainly talk to Sam about. So bolstering that piece of the context. Yeah.
I think it's kind of underrated history, and it really influences what got cut up and where along this transect that we're talking about. So, to me, it's an important component.
Okay.
The driving park? Yeah.
I know.
Can't even imagine that. A lot of interesting little insights into that, yeah. Almost right on Westcott.
Yeah, well, that I know.
Yep.
I only had one.
Okay, so are we?
It seemed like an anomaly to me. On page 5, it mentions the Syracuse University campus being on the east side of the district.
That would be a mistake.
That's
Yes,
what I
yeah,
thought.
thank
It's
you.
west.
I'll pick that up. And that was also one of the interesting things about this is that obviously now it's we know it as the Westcott as well as a university neighborhood, but as Sam had said, Sam Gruber said in the writing of this, narrative of this, that originally the university had very little influence over the development of the district, that it was still very small and growing itself at the time. So this was really catering to middle class, working class folks who were trying to move a little bit further away from the city, and that's who it was marketed to.
That was part of the development of what we had in the conversation about Comstock. And-
That's right. Yep.
Yeah, and that became sort of a barrier, and actually, based on elevation of the geographic elevation change, made a huge difference in terms of the development of those houses. The large
Yep.
mansions are on Comstock, and then, you know, you have a much lower elevation, and all of a sudden, the housing stock changed
Changed, right.
dramatically in terms of it. But it
To
was
the-
part of
to the
that
east, yep.
move from the city out.
So we'll certainly send the link if you're interested in participating. And I will pass along the comment about Beach Street. Are there any other concerns or, not concerns, or comments?
I have to take a deeper dive.
Yeah, I take a little more thorough reading, but how soon do you need the comments?
Sam would need it
Before the 30th?
If there are, yeah, send me your comments, and we'll certainly include them. Yep.
I just want to thank Kate for all of her work on this. She's been such a great help coordinating with SHPO and getting us over the finish line. This has been a really long project that PACNY started 7 years ago, maybe?
Before
but-
COVID.
Yeah,
Well,
so
before COVID.
we're happy to see this one completed, and thank you for your help.
Good job on both sides.
Huge amount of work.
Yeah, and actually, I look forward to another book, because I have the Berkeley Historic book, and I have, you know.
Yeah, sure.
Pretty much there already.
That's right.
Well, it's nice to have, I mean, you know, I can look up projects before, you know, meetings that I've got that information.
Yeah. Yeah.
So here's another one.
Well, this is not a preservation district, so there
No,
won't be
right.
design guidelines. Is that what you're
Just-
referring to, the design
Yeah,
guidelines?
so that we won't have.
Though we won't have design guidelines for this one unless the neighbors would like design guidelines,
But
or
perhaps
that's something
will
we should.
for Comstock.
That's correct. And just so you all know, in terms of Comstock, I working with a couple of the building owners. They as a result of the dormitory project, all of the fraternities, sororities are now talking to each other along that block, and there are a lot of questions about a potential preservation district. So the idea is to have a meeting to discuss those, and it'll be another online type of meeting prior to Thanksgiving. That'll be happening, and I'll keep you abreast on when that happens. So,
If
all right.
that's it, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in
Thank you.
favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Good job, everybody. A long one. Good job.
Long one, but a very good one.
Architects, huh?
Yeah, holy moly.